Hi, I'm Sarah Gabriel, former special education teacher turned social entrepreneur and founder of In Good Company. We help businesses build thriving teams by giving them the confidence and tools to effectively lead employees with disabilities. This podcast is for leaders creating interability workplaces. Together, we'll dig into what it takes to lead with both heart and business savvy and build workplaces where contributors of all abilities are not just included, but essential. Welcome to In Good Company. Hello, today we're joined by Jen Wiese, the founder of BeeFree, a company known for its delicious, clean label snacks like the popular Warrior Mix. Established in 2010, BeeFree has grown from a home kitchen endeavor into a nationally distributed brand offering gluten-free, grain-free, and dairy-free products made with simple, wholesome ingredients, which I love. But the journey has not stopped there for Jen and her team. As BeeFree continues to grow, so does their commitment to the disability community. Through their nonprofit arm, BeeFree Bakes, Jen's team is providing jobs and resources for adults with autism and other disabilities, empowering them to thrive in a supportive environment. If this episode leaves you hungry, by the way, you can shop BeeFree's full line of gluten-free, dairy-free snacks online at beefreegf.com. You can shop wholesale or find them in select retailers nationwide. So be sure to check them out. Jen, thank you so much for agreeing to hop on a podcast today.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Why don't you tell us the story first and where the heart of BeeFree came from?
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to. BeeFree is very personal. It came from a need for our son. We have four sons, and our oldest is on the autism spectrum. And so back in 2007, when my husband and I he was newly diagnosed, our son was, and my husband and I are looking for information. Autism was new for us. We didn't really have a point of reference. And so we were looking for support. And so we found that at an autism conference in Vancouver. And one of the things we learned there was about food and looking at food as your medicine. And so that was kind of a new concept for us too. We were really comfortable in the kitchen. I come from a family, grandmothers and relatives who make scratch food. So I grew up in the kitchen, but gluten-free and just looking at more holistic, real ingredients, specifically on 100% way of eating was a little new to us. That's where it came from. So that's where the initial idea of gluten-free came from, this autism conference we went to. And we saw that as kind of a natural jumping off point for us. So as a mom on a mission, to help support my son. Like, don't get in the way of a mom on a mission. It doesn't really matter what it is. Mama bear instincts come out and they're really, really strong. And so I had that instinct already. And then I spent years in the kitchen with my mom creating favorite family recipes that were gluten-free, that tasted really delicious, that were made of real simple ingredients, food that all the ingredients you could pronounce, you could identify, you could trace right down to the earth. And those were the ingredients that we used. And it had to taste good.
Yeah.
We did years of taste testing before we actually put a product out into the marketplace. So those were definitely the early days. And then we did some farmers markets when I really kind of felt like, all right, I might have something here that other people want, and I could be helping enhance lives. I was just trying to be a good listener. I was trying to listen to what people wanted. Where were the pinch points? What were the things that people wanted, but they couldn't find? And then I filled those holes. So that kind of approach has worked pretty well for us over the years, especially as we transitioned to grocery stores, looking for the holes and the spaces that were unfilled has been a pretty good win for us.
My brain is just spinning right now with all these connections that the audience doesn't know yet, but we're about to make for them. And that is what you were learning when your son, and how old was he when y'all received the diagnosis and started looking for new food options for him? How old was he?
Yeah, he was 7 when he got his diagnosis, which is late, right? But so that's a sign of the times too. So so things have progressed a lot in that area as well.
And so you, the wonderful mama bear that you were, committed, determined, you solved the problem that was in front of you. And the problem at that point in time was food. And I love that you highlighted when you started taking this to other customers, to other markets, you were asking questions. That's exactly what I've learned when I left my special ed classroom to come work on the disability in adulthood piece of the puzzle. The first thing I learned was I wasn't asking enough questions. It's
Hmm.
great and it's easy to jump out with a bunch of passion and say, I love this group, so I want to solve a problem, and I think this is the best way to do it. But if you're not asking the recipients of that service, does this even help? Or
Right.
when you're selling a food product, does this even taste good?
Yeah.
Would you buy this? You're already in a little bit of trouble. So I love that you were asking questions. I love that you were solving the problem directly in front of you. And it started having the trickle effect and affecting others and helping others in a similar
Mhm.
journey.
Mm.
So from there, we're going to fast forward to your son's reaching of adulthood. And we'll get back into BeeFree here and there, but I
Mhm.
I want to show the parallel because you solved a problem then, and then a new problem came to the
Mhm.
surface when he
Mhm.
was reaching the end of school and reaching adulthood. And what was that new problem that you were starting to look at?
Well, he was interested in getting a job. So
Mhm.
he was had finished high school. He graduated high school. If I could just really share this one little hurdle too, when he was in eighth grade and
Mhm.
seventh grade, and we're making his plan for graduation. So he's a seventh grader, and we're sitting around with a team of professionals,
Mhm.
educators, and they're asking what our thought is on him getting a high school diploma. And my husband and I were like, well, of course he'll get a high school diploma.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he? Right? We'll do
Mhm.
everything we can do, if it's possible, we'll do everything we can do to help support him so that he can master that. And it was very much frowned upon. And, we were pretty much told that we should take him off diploma track and just let him go through the motions, but not get the diploma. And we went 100% against that and fought for him to get a diploma. And
Wow.
so I draw upon that a lot because every time somebody wants to put a limit on him, or they have put limits on him throughout his years, he busts through it every single time. And we do that as parents too. I think that's typical. Sometimes we're not completely aware of the capabilities.
Mm.
So it's just, I share that story because it's reality, number one,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
also can be encouragement for other parents or caregivers to, try not to let those limits, be placed. Let
Mhm.
your child or your student make those own determinations, right? And then fill in the gaps where they can.
And Jen, I think some of the best examples that I've seen of parents living this out have to have a lot of courage and willingness to risk failure or falling, to put that challenge and to raise the bar and say, no, we're shooting for this. We're shooting higher than we've been encouraged or limited to shoot for.
And if you don't put them in those situations, you don't get to know what's on the other side.
You'll never know. That's
You'll
right.
never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come into this conversation looking for that, but I'm glad we found that golden piece of advice. And I'm glad we're mentioning that because after he got his high school diploma, what was after
Yeah.
that?
Then he wanted to go to college, and
Yeah.
he went to he lived at home, went to a community college for 2 years, and then
Hmm.
went on to a 4-year college where he lived on campus and
Hmm.
off campus housing. After he graduated from high school, he wanted a job. He needed a job, right? He was going to college. He wanted to have
That's
spending
right.
money. He had expenses that he wasn't used to having before. So, a part-time job while he was
Hmm.
taking some classes was what he was looking for.
Hmm.
That was really our first exposure to some of the extra barriers that are put up around people with disabilities. I'm going to talk autism because that's what my world, has been surrounded by, and that's our
Hmm.
experience is autism. So lots of additional challenges, and it was rough. And he was able to get a job, go through the interview process was really, really difficult. You think about typical interview style, having good eye communication, good conversational skills, all of those social skills and things that are referred to or felt, or all those kind of gray things that are not black and white. Um, and just the stress of walking into an interview, all those things can really be debilitating to a person with autism or other disabilities, and it can definitely be a big roadblock. So that was number one. But he was able to get past that. He was able to get through the training, and then the job, the showing up on time, all the things that are required of a job and being an employee. And he was able to keep a job, but throughout that whole process, our eyes were really opened in a way that we'd never experienced before,
Mhm.
just to what his life will likely be like with other potential employers as well. So it
Right.
was at that point that we thought, I think this is it. This is the thing. This is the next thing that we can help figure out. Like we can help figure this out so that it's not as difficult for our son, but also for all the others. What about all the others that don't have a voice? I feel like
Mhm.
we were the voice for all those, and we continue to be. We're the voice for those who don't have a voice. We're trying to make their lives easier, more impactful, more joyful, more
Mm.
fulfilling.
What a story already. We still haven't even told the whole story, Jen, but just the progression and the challenging of the status quo. I mean, again, to draw the parallels, you started when your son was 7 and you challenged the status quo. Food does not have to taste bad. We
Yeah, right.
Especially if you're a family going through hard changes, changing your
Hmm.
diet is hard. I went through
It
that
is
myself.
hard.
Strangely emotional, and it's challenging
Yes.
in so many ways. And so to say, food is going to still be a source of joy and it's going to be
Hmm.
good. And we're not just going to make it in our own kitchen. We're going to put it in on shelves and in stores for other people to access as well. So it can be
Hmm.
a joyful experience for them as well. You solve the problem in front of you. High schools, or I'm sorry, starting in 7th grade, there was a new problem in front of you. And you didn't let the problem at hand limit the experiences of your son. You
Hmm.
challenged it.
Hmm.
And then college comes along, adulthood
Hmm.
comes along, and there's a
Yeah.
new challenge in front of you. And same thing, you just decided this doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
It's going to take some deliberate work and effort, though.
Hmm.
So tell us about what came next. We've spoken about this a bit, but I'll just say to the audience, I love that you used what you already had going for you and you used the platform that you had already been building. In many ways, I'm sure when you started BeeFree, you didn't even have an inkling of an idea that eventually what you were building was going to be the platform on which you continued building to solve another important challenge that so many face. So tell us what came next when y'all were talking about the employment piece.
So what came next was we decided that we wanted to make a change. We wanted to be change makers in our own community first.
Mm,
And not only just for our son, but for all those I mentioned that don't have voices, that they need support. They need a chance, right? They need
mhm,
a chance. They need somebody to take a bet on them, raise their hand and say, come to me, I'll take care of you, right? I'll build you up and I will give you that support and those skills that you need so that you can live the life of your dreams. And, I feel like all of this goes back to the beginning when my son was born. And so I made a promise to him when he was born that I would be the best mom possible and that I would do everything I could do to support him, to build him up, to allow him to live the life of his dreams. So I feel like I've been like working on all of this all these years so that when a time like this came, I was kind of ready.
mm.
Sorry, I got a little bit off track there.
I think it's all relevant. I love it. I would also add, you had already been practicing the art of asking good questions because I think the
Oh,
best solutions come from asking the best questions. And just like you said, you were asking the right questions when you were building Be Free. I'm
hmm.
sure there were some important questions you were asking at this stage when you were looking at the employment
Yeah,
piece,
sure.
making sure you're building the right solution.
Right. So one of the things that this is, I'm going to tie this all together. One of the things that I would go on a limb and say most, if not all, parents of a child with a disability, even adult
Mm.
children with disabilities, they think about very often what will happen to them when I'm gone. When I
Yeah.
leave this earth, what will happen to my child? Who will take care of them? Will they be equipped? Will they be able, to live a beautiful life of their dreams? Will they be happy? It's
Mhm.
in the, it's in our minds all the time. So with that, what we built next was Be Free Bakes. It's a nonprofit, and it is an autism job training center. Because not only for our son, which I will connect that in a minute too, but others, autism, the statistics now are what, 1 in 24? Is it 1 in 24? It was 1 in 31. When he was diagnosed, it was 1 in 151 people had a diagnosis of autism in the United States.
Mhm.
And then it went to like 1 in 130, and then 1 in 78, and then 1 in 34 and 35. And I think now the new statistics are 1 in 24.
Wow.
And in Indiana, it's 1 in 16.
Mhm.
So knowing all of that, knowing that we have a business that needs employees and that we see the challenges and the roadblocks that are up against people with autism and other disabilities, why can't we be that solution? So that's what we built next.
Did you know there are nearly 200 small businesses in the US who are on a mission to employ individuals with disabilities? And we want to send shoppers their way. That's where you come in. Join the In Good Company passport game and support businesses that are moving the needle for disability employment. Here's how you play. Choose 3 businesses featured on our passport, snap photos with each visit or online purchase, and share them on your Instagram. Tag IGC with us and the business you supported, and we'll send you a prize. Grab your passport and instructions in the show notes or on our Instagram page today. So tell us a little bit more about what BeeFree Bakes looks like. What's a day in the life like for them?
Yes, I will. And so, but first, if I could just offer one little story.
Please.
So we have been doing this job training under kind of our just on our own, 100% self-funded, just on our own because we saw a need. We've been doing it for years, and we have been able to award, prior to this last 12 weeks, we've been able to award a dozen very first paychecks. And so just the joy and the satisfaction that that brings is, it's really super special. And it's not to toot my horn, but it's to show our community and to show others that this is what inclusion looks like. This is how our workspaces should be. And here's how we can help you do that, because we're an open book. So as we put BeeFree Bakes nonprofit together, we wanted to be able to help more people. And so we sought the support of the state of Indiana with vocational rehab, and we were able to get their support and their acknowledgement of our training program. So they helped support and fund it, as well as a couple other organizations in our state and our city and our county that recognize that we have something that is of value that needs to be celebrated and supported, so that we can just kind of continue this movement and this momentum going forward. So that's what's happened. Mhm.
Let me pause and highlight something for the listeners. You linked doing good and good business and real economic value. We love to talk about the mission. All of us are here because we're bought into the mission and we see the need. And you got smart and you found good partners and
Yeah.
good resources to grow your mission even stronger. And so I just wanted to highlight that, because the mission and the heart is absolutely beautiful, and it takes good, smart business decisions to grow it.
Well, really, that's very, very kind of you. I would attribute my husband to most of that, because I'm like the minutia, like I like all little detail. He's like the big picture guy. Like, so it's
So,
part of why he and I are such a great team,
yeah.
because he thinks big picture and he
Mm.
pushes me to do things and to think bigger. And then I put all the pieces together, right? And put a little bow on top of it. And so, but yes, that is definitely my husband's, Michael's influence and impact there. We could just still stay little tiny and just do which is fine. There's no fault in that, no shame in that at all. But because the need is so big, and we really have the desire to go big, because we know there's so many people that want and need help. And
Right.
so if we're going to go big, we can't do it on our own. We just can't. We need help and support. And we really feel like there's people out there and organizations that are looking for people like us. Like they're looking for, we know you're out there. Where are you? What can we do to help support and build you up so that we
Mhm.
together can do
Yeah.
good? And that's when it's really magical.
We're
Like
one of
there
the
you are.
supporters looking for ways to make you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep walking us through what does the Be Free Bakes program look like for a
Yes.
participant?
Yes. So it's a 2 day a week program. We're going into 3 days, but 2 days a week, we're meeting for 4 hours each day. So on Wednesdays, our participants will come to our warehouse, and they we have a curriculum, so it's already planned out. Every day, we know what we're going to teach. Our participants know what the lesson is, and they know the skills that they're going to be building that day. So, a typical 4 hour day in our warehouse might look like they enter, they get clocked in because they're paid. So they are
Mhm.
paid trainees. We do that so that they can get used. Number one, our whole mission is to get people working in paid positions. So we pay them. And then we also want them to be able to know what it's like to have money in their account. How do I save my money? How do I receive my money? How do I save it? How do I spend it? How do I allocate it? So they're learning those skills on their own as well. So
Mhm.
they would get clocked in, they would put their things away in their own cubby with their name on it, and then they would check in with the manager and find out what the work is to do for the day. They do this as a group, and then we would have stations around our warehouse where they're doing different jobs.
And just to
So,
clarify, this is the Be Free warehouse. This is a
correct.
real functioning business that they are learning in.
This is a real work experience, and that's what we're all about too, is creating as close to possible real work experience so that when they leave us, because the trainees don't stay with us. This is a kind of an in and an out program. They come to us, we teach them job ready skills, beginning with how do you clock in? Most everybody who comes to us, they've never had a job before. So they don't know how to
Mhm.
clock in. So we're teaching all of those skills. And so we teach them job ready skills, and then they go out into our community and get the job of their dreams. They check in with their manager for the day, they get their assignment, they get plugged in, they do
Mhm.
their work. And one of those jobs might be we do Amazon and our own Shopify order fulfillment out of this warehouse. So they're learning how to pack an order. So
Awesome.
how do you tape a box together, you read the order, you put the order in the package, you hand signed a note, because we're really hands on, and we're really personable about our packaging and about our products. If you order something from us, it'll have a handwritten note from the person who packed your order. And so that might be one job. Another might be building a pallet order with 100 boxes and making sure that all the stickers are facing the same way so that when it's received,
Mhm.
it's easy to read and it's easy for the
Yeah.
check-in person to check it in. So those are just some examples.
Jen, I love these examples because you're also helping us remember not to limit our expectations
Hmm.
of what employees who may come to our businesses may or may not be able to do.
Hmm.
And even the well intended employers might sometimes still get a little trapped in their own limited thinking for what employees are able to do. And I would just love to know, as you've started this and as you've started bringing more and more employees with disabilities into your warehouse, doing real work for your real company, Be Free, what has training been like? Have you had to rethink anything as far as how you like how the processes work, how you package or label anything like that?
All the time. I mean, I would say
Mhm.
that I would say that we're doing a reiteration of a process all the time. And part of that is because we work with people with different types of abilities. So we are just constantly re-evaluating our work environment,
Mm.
our
Mhm.
space, even our chairs and our tables. And we'll have somebody coming to us that's in a wheelchair. We've never had that before. So,
Mhm.
all these things that we're, number one, we're open to reevaluating. We're open to the conversation and the visit from somebody who has something different than we've ever had before.
Mm.
So we're just constantly looking. We have a young man right now that doesn't have very much language, but he communicates very well with his phone. He will do voice to text on his
Awesome.
phone. And so we didn't know that for several weeks. ahead, and so we learned that. And so now that's a tool that we use. We typically don't allow phones, in our workspace. They have to be in your cubby. But for him, it's his communication device. So yes, he has his phone nearby. Yeah, we're just constantly looking and
Yeah.
trying to learn, observe, ask questions, so that we can better accommodate the people we serve.
You said iterate a little while ago. That is one of our favorite words at In Good Company. It's iterate because no process is ever finished.
Right.
Because the need will change, the opportunity will
True.
change, the employees are always changing and
Mhm.
growing. Sometimes what is needed one day doesn't always have to be the same that's needed a year from
Yes.
now. And so
Yeah.
I love that you have that mindset built into your leadership. I can just tell
Mhm.
because you're so right. It's different for every single person, but
Mhm.
they can get the job done.
Yes.
We always talk to employers when we do trainings about we're not asking you to lower the bar. If you imagine hands reaching
Mhm.
for the bar and they're just not quite long enough, they can't reach. We're not asking you to lower your bar. Sometimes that's a very bad idea. You don't want to lower your
Yeah.
standards in terms of safety
Mhm.
or sanitation. That's a very
Right.
bad idea. But if you can raise the level of support underneath the feet so that they can reach the bar, you have a well run business with standards that need to be kept, and you have well supported employees who want to be there
Exactly.
and do great work. So I can just tell,
Yeah.
just imagine your warehouse and all the buzzing, happy bees, the worker bees there at Be Free Bakes. So
Yeah.
one
It's
more
very
thing
nice.
about a day in the life of Be Free,
Yeah.
because we haven't mentioned it yet. Tell us about your lemonade truck.
So last year, my husband converted an old trailer that we had. It was just a regular trailer, just empty. He converted it. He watched a ton of YouTube videos and he converted it to a food trailer. So we just went to another county today and got another certification from the Board of Health. So we're certified in another county now. So we did that so that we could give our trainees real world experience in in the service part of food.
Mhm.
So we can teach them all the skills and they can get their Serve Safe certificate while they're with us. And they earn some other certificates as well too, like customer service, a little bit of first aid, safety, things like that, so
Mhm.
that they can take that with them to their interview and just
Yeah.
build their portfolio. But the lemonade trailer was a way that we could be mobile. It's our mobile job training site, and we call it our life changing lemonade. And it's life changing because number one, it is hands down the best lemonade you've ever had. So your
Uh,
life will be different after you had it because it's so good. We're changing lives by the fact that we're using this mobile job training site to teach job ready skills so that people can have the life of their dream. They can earn a paycheck and have a different life than what they had before. So it truly is life changing. So
I love it. I wish I lived in Indiana. I'd come.
I do too. Oh my gosh, I do too. I do too. But so yeah, so we created that so that we could get out into the community and we could give our trainees real world experience on what it's like to make something that's food safe, right?
Mhm.
For
Stand.
our community. Yes, you have to have very high standards and we have to be safe about it. And then you can apply those skills to a job in the restaurant or the catering business, but also all the other skills that are there as well too. We have order takers, so somebody can learn how to politely take someone's order and have really great
Mhm.
customer service. How do you
Mhm.
serve somebody? You take their order, but then you serve them. And then how do you take their money? So there are all those additional job skills that we're able to train with a
Yeah.
mobile job training site.
Yeah.
And then we can go to all these really cool venues and events, like the Indiana Peony Festival was 2 weeks ago. We got to
Oh,
do
how
that,
fun.
and farmers markets and all kinds of fun things.
Gosh, I think I'm moving to Indiana. This just sounds better and better.
Good.
So
Indiana's a great place.
then, and real quick to highlight, remind the listeners that this is a 12-week program where they
Yes.
rotate. They might work in the warehouse, they might work at the lemonade truck, and then they're launched into the workforce with strong resumes and
Yes.
certifications like food handling safety.
Yes.
That's an interesting model for listeners to consider who may be at the very beginning of planning their business model. There are some that are brick and mortar and they hire and employees could stay for a year or 10 years. And that's fantastic. And we support
Right.
that. And there are models like this to consider where you train them up, you give them real world experience, and then you launch them out. And I think the benefits to highlight of this approach is, well, there are really a couple. One, you're sending phenomenal equipped workers into quote traditional workplaces
Mhm.
where they may not have experienced this community before. The coworkers, the guests, the
Yep.
managers even, and how beautiful is that? And not even
Mhm.
just beautiful, but how needed is that? And
Mhm.
then two, when you launch those graduates out, you're creating space for a new cohort. And so, and I see you smiling. So I'm sure that was part of your thinking. Do you have anything else you want to say about your logic in making your model the way you did?
Yes, very much. Because so if we were to train them and keep them, which of course we get attached, right? We
It's
get very
hard.
attached, but if we were to do that, we would be limited very quickly on how many trainees we could have. Because we're a small company. We're growing, but we're still small. We don't have tons of positions available. But the unemployment rate with the way it is right now, there are help wanted signs on every corner. So this is a way that we could serve more people and also help our community at the same time.
Yeah, you're filling vacant roles. You're equipping and preparing and investing in a group of job seekers
Yeah.
who might need a little bit of extra readiness and then they're good to go. I really want you to tell our listeners about your team structure because there are a lot of hats to be worn in this work. Do you wear five hats? Was there a time when you were wearing five hats and you slowly passed them off?
Yes, I have worn many hats before, and over the years, I have passed some of those on. So right now, my official title is founder CEO, and I'm also the sales department.
Mhm.
I am the head of sales in order to for BeeFree to have the jobs that BeeFree Bakes needs. I have to do my sales job. And then my husband, Michael, handles all of our logistics. He is our procurement manager, so he sources all of our raw ingredients for our manufacturing bakeries. And he does our transportation, coordination, and then strategic planning. He and I work together on that. Then we have Katie. Katie wears many hats. Katie is our marketing director. And so she does our social media, our marketing with our online and with our stores and how we position our messaging with and through their platforms. And then
Mhm.
she also helps coordinate our warehouse. So she
Mhm.
helps with our curriculum for our Be Free Bakes program. And then we have Erica, who is our program director for Be Free Bakes. So she helps with all the intake of our trainees and all the paperwork and all the communication that needs to go to the state for our funding and to
Mhm.
our other funders. And then we have Sherry, who is our administrative assistant. She also is our order take kind of clerk. And then she also is our customer service voice. And then, oh my gosh, you know what? I left out the most important employee in all of us, and it's my son. Our son August has a role with Be Free, and shame on me. Oh my gosh, that's so terrible. He should have been the first one that I mentioned. August has a role with Be Free, and he has for many, many years. He's been our trainer for our group of young adults with autism and other disabilities for years. And so he's been our lead trainer. And then he worked our lemonade trailer and kind of headed that program last year as we were just kind of figuring that out. And he's such a natural. I love to tell the story of August having a really important, vital role with Be Free. Number one, because I have seen the challenges that he's overcome to get where he is now. But also, he is such great hope and such a
Mhm.
great uh, role model for other adults with autism and other disabilities that they see him, person with a disability, in a role that is an important role in a company. And so I love to share that he is really somebody who has really positioned himself, put himself in really uncomfortable positions, is not afraid to talk about the fact that he has a disability. And I think he really views it now. He hasn't always, but he views it as his superpower. Like, I know I can relate to the people that are under my trainee role, and he speaks very authentically and people connect with him really well. And he's very patient. He has just a really nice way about teaching and training people that people are really drawn to. So he's the number one.
Wow, that sounds like a secret ingredient to a magical, effective, missional team that is making a real difference and moving the needle for the adult community of
Yeah.
individuals who have disabilities and have seen many doors closed to them.
Mhm.
And I went to hear Temple Grandin speak recently, and she said, if the front door is closed, just go find the back door.
Yeah.
Find the door and go through it. And some of us don't fit in the front door. And it's unfortunate and it's discouraging, but don't give up. And if you're a door holder, open the door to someone or go build the door and then open it to
Yeah.
someone who needs a door to go through. So lots of doors. But
Yes, I love
it
that.
sounds
Yeah,
like
you're
y'all
talking
are.
my language.
Yes, yeah. Well, Jen, we loved giving shout outs and giving support where we can. What's a business that you admire and that you'd love to share the spotlight with today?
Well, there's Biddy and Bo's. I love what they're doing in their coffee shop model. And then there's a company that it's a bakery company, and it's in Carmel. It's just right down the street from us. It's called No Label at the Table, and it was
Mm,
a mom that created a bakery because her son with autism wanted to be a baker, and that's his dream, and so she helped create it for him. So it's called No Label at the Table, and they employ only people with autism in there. So if you're ever in the Carmel, Indiana area, right on Main Street, they make
okay.
delicious bakery goods.
I
And
love the
there's,
name.
soap companies and coffee
Mhm.
companies and just really incredible people doing incredible work out there. Very
Yeah.
inspiring.
Thank you, Jen. I know we will stay in touch because I just consider you part of In Good Company now. That's our
Aw.
favorite part of this journey is just the people that we get to meet and walk alongside in this process. Thanks for joining us on In Good Company. I hope this conversation gave you what you needed to take your next step. Special thanks to Georgia Tech's Institute for Leadership and Social Impact for the recording space and the coffee. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, share, or leave a review to help more leaders like you find us. Want more tools, frameworks, or a community of like-minded advocates? Head over to igcwithus.com to learn more. We'd love to connect. Until next time, keep building what wasn't there before. You're in good company.